All right, guys, welcome back to Wide Awake News Radio. I'm Charlie McGrath, your host, still rolling on this fifth day of March, Tuesday. Joining us now is a sponsor who's been with us from the get-go. Chris and Gabe, they've been with me from since we started the program and have stuck with us, and we appreciate their support. So once in a while, we bring them on here to talk about the industry that they represent, as well as offer specials to the Wide Awake News listeners. Chris from seedsnow.com. Welcome back to the program. It's great to have you back on.
Thank you, Charlie. It's good to be back.
Yeah, and here's the deal. You know, I cover so much political and economic news, and you know, I tend to I tend not to do a great job covering the topics that you primarily are concerned with, and that that you work in and amongst, which is the food industry. But man, you know, if I look at some recent headlines here, obviously, you know, we've had very difficult weather over the last couple of years, and a promise of higher food prices coming, even without a lower value dollar and inflation grabbing hold, which is without a doubt, you can't go to the store without seeing a higher price, especially in produce. But you look at some of the other stories of the day, you know, you have horse meat ending up in England, horse meat ending up in Taco Bell. I mean, it's something that we don't cover a lot here. A lot of people do. It's something we should probably cover more. But without a doubt, our food supply is under assault, is it not?
It is, and honestly, the biggest thing that we focus on, especially for our industry and what we primarily deal with, is really educating people about how genetically modified foods are really taking a toll on our food supply. People don't understand that a lot of the things that we eat nowadays and the things that you find in the supermarket contain genetically modified organisms. And the biggest crops that you see that are in our foods are going to be corn and soybean related. Almost 90+% of all corn in the United States has been contaminated with genetically modified organisms. You got soybeans, primarily going to be genetically modified, and all of those things make it into our foods and drinks, and people don't realize what they're ingesting. The high fructose corn syrups, the soybean extract. I mean, all these things are in our food, and unless you're paying close attention to the label, and unless you're buying organic, I mean, you just don't know what you're eating, and a lot of people are just waking up to that fact, and it's kind of sad that, you know, with Prop 37 not passing and the things that have been happening ever since that, I think people are starting to wake up, but I think that there's still a long ways to go related to that.
I agree with you 100%. Prop 37, refresh your memory for those who haven't heard of it before, it was an initiative in California that food growers had to put on their product if it was a GMO or not, correct?
That's correct. Yeah, the prop was to make companies label their food, any product, if it contained any type of genetically modified, either the corn or anything that contained a genetically modified, it had to be labeled as such, and it did not. It was close, but it didn't pass, and a lot of people got really upset about that, but it definitely woke people up, which is good.
Yeah, and there's, you know, what's disgusting about that is in the land of the free and informed, which we are definitely not. We can't know what kind of scientific chicanery was going on with the food we're eating. Yet I think throughout all of Europe, they have to label their food GMO. Correct? Go ahead.
I was just going to say, yeah, it's so true. I mean, we're one of the only countries out there that doesn't have such a law, and it's just so frustrating. I mean, China has it. I mean, all these other countries have it, and we don't. It's just
and I don't even know what the hesitation is, because who that is spending millions of dollars a year to influence legislation so that we don't have something like Prop 37? Who are these guys kidding? I mean, seriously, this is a land, you know, not to go too far off the topic, but this is a land where you can get felt up every time you climb on an airplane, or worry about or have potentially surveillance drones buzzing around 30,000 across this country, and most people could care less. So even if that big old label was on the side of your cereal that this contains GMO corn, most people are just not gonna pay attention to that. Yet they still want to work hard and spend millions of dollars to make sure that we're not informed.
That's
I guess there's
true.
no question there. Sorry. Sorry, I always do that to you. I always leave you without a question. I just make a statement.
And then you ask me, why didn't I answer? Or why didn't I
answer that? Come on, Chris. Get on board.
No, but Charlie, seriously, it is a really big issue. And for us, springtime is rolling around. We, on our website, for anybody that's listening to your show, please check out seedsnow.com. And we have a lot of specials going on in terms of package deals and seed banks, individual seed packs. And one of the things that we just started, so that anybody who wants to start growing their own organic food, we have 99-cent sampler packs now. So anybody that doesn't feel like spending $3.50 for a pack of tomato seeds, you can actually go on our website and just pick up and try growing your own food. At 99 cents a pack, anything over $40 is free. Anything under $10 is only $1.95 for shipping. I mean, the prices are reasonable, service quality. I mean, we make sure that our customers are happy, and we want everyone to start learning how to grow their own food, especially now with springtime rolling around. I mean, the time couldn't be more ripe, and I think this is a good opportunity.
I agree with you 100%. Seedsnow.com. Chris, he's our sponsor. He's been with us from the get-go. A lot of great reviews from our customers. My sister, being the webmaster, is you're probably your number one fan. She still sends me occasionally pictures of Cukezilla, which is a cucumber that she grew from your website, seed she purchased from your website. And I haven't quite figured out here how I'm going to do it, but the first 5 people that go to the website and order at least $100 worth of product. And can you track this, Chris? If I have them go and use the promo code, which is Wide Awake News, no spacing whatsoever, Wide Awake News, you're going to get, regardless, an automatic 10% discount on any purchases you make there. But can we track it so the first 5 I can give this Homestead Seed Bank to? If the first 5 of $100 purchase or greater, we can Wide Awake News will buy the Homestead Seed Bank, which is worth $38. Is there a way to do that, or do I just make it really hard?
No, we can do that. That's not a problem.
All right, so we're going to give away, Wide Awake News is going to give away 5 $37.99 Homestead Seed Banks to the first 5 people who go over there and purchase $100 worth of product from seedsnow.com. Use promo code WideAwake10. Wide Awake News. I got that Wide Awake 10 stuck in my brain. Wide Awake News, no spaces. You'll receive a 10% discount on your order. If your order is $100 or greater, you're going to get a $37.99 Homestead Seed Bank. What's in that kit?
That one, let's take a look. So that one actually has a lot of good varieties for spring, summer, and fall and winter. So it's actually designed to really allow you to live off the land and grow all season long. So when I say that, you're going to get everything from your basil, you're going to get a couple bean varieties, you're going to get a pole bean, a bush bean, you're going to get beets, Brussels sprouts, broccoli, cabbage, carrots, everything from cucumbers, kale, a couple kinds of lettuce varieties, you're going to get a watermelon, onions, you're going to get a white sweet Spanish onion, you're going to get a Tokyo long white, which is like a scallion type onion, peas, you're going to get a couple peppers, California Wonder bell pepper, spinach, Swiss chard, you're going to get squash, tomatoes. I mean, you get a really, really good variety of seed with that package.
White sweet Spanish onion. Oh, man, that sounds good. Wait a minute. Tokyo long. I'm not going to get any irradiated Tokyo long white onion, am I? That's kidding.
No.
All right. So go to oh, God. I'm losing my mind tonight. Use the promo code Wide Awake News. No spacing whatsoever. Wide Awake News. Go to seedsnow.com. Use that promo code. If it's $100 or greater, you're going to get that $37.99 seed bank as well. Chris, what else is going on? I know you wanted to keep on the topic of GMO corn. Last time you were on here, the supply has been getting shorter and shorter of non-GMO corn. Now you're to the point where it's just non-existent, correct?
Well, for us, because we're a 100% GMO-free company, and I don't know if your listeners know this, but for corn, it's a wind-pollinated crop, which means it's not exactly pollinated by bees, butterflies, or insects. The problem with corn, it's actually pollinated by wind. What's happening now is that... Hold
on a second. Yeah, I'm here. We got the music playing. We're going to take this break. We're going to be back with Chris from seedsnow.com. More Wide Awake News Radio. We're going to hear about why the corn supply is almost impossible to get that is not a GMO corn product. Chris, seedsnow.com. We'll be back in just a few minutes. All right, guys, welcome back to Wide Awake News Radio. Charlie McGrath, along with Chris from seedsnow.com. Again, I want to talk about this promo because this is the last short segment we have with Chris. And it isn't just a little trinket giveaway. We always try to give something away nice from the program side to show support to Chris for what he's done for us for the last couple of years. Go to seedsnow.com. If you buy $100 worth of product and you use the promo code Wide Awake News, no spacing, it's $100 or more. Chris himself, as you heard on Justin TV, he's going to monitor this. The first 5 people that do will receive this $38 homestead seed bank absolutely free. That's on us. So take advantage of this. We did this before with Buy Emergency Foods. It worked out really great for Buy Emergency Foods as well as the listeners. So take advantage of this deal. It's basically getting 40% on your purchase for absolutely nothing. We were talking during the break, and some guys picked up on it in chat there, and Gary even asked the question about corn. We were talking about corn before the break as well. There's some misnomers out there about, white corn, yellow corn, blue corn. This one's GMO, this one's not. Can you clear this up a little bit for us, Chris?
Well, the problem is you really can't label it yellow or white. I'm not prejudiced, but the thing is with corn, it's pollinated by wind, which is what I was saying before the break. So either way, even if it's yellow or white, let's say down the road you have a GMO based crop that's growing. Let's say you're growing corn, and 4 miles down the road is your organic yellow or white corn, whatever it is. The chances of it being contaminated by the wind pushing that pollen to your crop is very high, and unless you're actively testing it and making sure that it doesn't contain any genetically modified organisms, that's the only way you're going to know for sure. So to label it as yellow is GMO, white isn't, it's not necessarily a good rule of thumb that I would follow. But you just got to be really cautious of really any corn that you buy or eat.
What about popcorn? I saw that roll in the chat a minute ago. They said all popcorn is non-GMO. Not that you're going to cook up. Not that you're going to use that for the substitute for GMO that you are forced to buy now.
Well, for me, corn is corn. So I'm not going to comment on exactly the specific product that they're buying in the store for.
What about half
popcorn?
Yellow, half white popcorn on a Thursday in October? That's how specific I guess I'm asking.
That's okay then. I would approve that.
That one's going to be fine. All right, so we are heading into spring. What are you recommending people to go over, pick up, and get ready for the spring harvest, or the spring planting, I should say?
No, that's a great question. I think I would direct people to take a look at the website, take a look at the sampler packs. We have a bunch of new varieties this year that we just started offering. If you like tomatoes, we have the Cherokee Purple, we have the Heritage Rainbow mix in. Everything that we offer on our website, Charlie, just to make sure that your listeners understand about our website, even though it's 100% non-GMO, nothing on the website is a hybrid variety. Everything's non-hybrid. Everything's open-pollinated. Everything's the most natural, most pure form of seed that you can buy. And you can actually save your seeds after each harvest, which is essentially the best way to do it if you're trying to be self-sufficient, live off the land, and not having to rely on, let's say, a third party to buy your seeds. So investing in a seed bank is a great way to be self-sufficient. Learning how to grow your own food. We have lots of books, a lot of resources on that subject. And I would just direct people to take a look at the different categories that we offer. At everything from alfalfa sprouts all the way down to watermelon. And I think the value is there. If you're interested in trying out a new seed company, I think that we can definitely meet or exceed your expectations.
Well, I've got nothing but great feedback from your company for the last couple of years that you've been coming on here and supporting the program. And like I said, I have actual relatives. She's in the chat room right now, and she would attest to that fact. So, I think you're doing a great job over there, and please keep up the work. I do have a question, though, as far as supply chain goes. I ask you this every time you're on. How's it looking? I mean, obviously corn is out. How about just general prices as you see we heading into this growing season or this planting season? Are you seeing the price or the action from a weaker dollar affect your industry?
That's a good question. I'm not sure about the stats on that part, but year over year, obviously prices for seed do go up. I don't have exact specific stats on that, but it should come as no surprise that, especially to buy heirloom or non-hybrid seeds, the value, or at least the supply-demand aspect ratio for that, when supply goes up, you got demand going up. I mean, it obviously will play a toll in terms of the price for that specific commodities. So that's the way that we're looking at it. And I said that wrong. Supply goes down, demand goes up, and so that's
Sure.
sort of what we're looking at right now.
And also, not only supply goes down or demand goes up. I mean, that is a fact. Or I think I just said it backwards too. But the people waking up is also occurring, and that's going to cause a pressure on demand. And I know from talking to you off air that your company is doing very well. You're continuing to expand and to grow, and recently just added some new staff. So congratulations on your success and providing this service. And I know it's something you love to do. So I'm jealous that you get to spend all your time doing what you love to do.
I appreciate it, Charlie. I do love what I do. I love getting the testimonials from customers and just knowing that a seed has changed the family's mindset about food.
And you're helping these people. And you're helping the people you're helping people that you get to call your customers. Here's the deal. Wide Awake News, no spacing. Use that as a promo code. You're going to receive 10% even if you buy $5 worth of stuff. If you buy 100, we're going to give you a $40 seed kit as well. Wide Awake News. All one word, no spacing, $100 or more, get that free seed kit. There's only 5 we're going to give away. So the first 5 who go there and do that, they will be able to take advantage of that. Chris, thank you very much for being on. I appreciate your support and I wish you the best in continuing with your good luck.
Thank you, Charlie. Take care and we'll talk soon.
All right, buddy. Thank you. Okay, stay tuned. We're going to be back with maybe me, me for sure, maybe Gary, maybe Eric. We'll see. Maybe your calls. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Hang tight. Well, I'll tell you it is. It's Charlie McGrath, joined by the Gary Hendershot. Gary, are you live in your studio?
I'm here.
All right, let's give out the number, 877.
Pushing buttons, Pushing buttons, right, looking good, What can I say?
Well, you said all you could say. At least you're not talking about your socks.
I only talk about my socks when we've got one of them young whippersnappers on there. I'm wearing socks that are older than they are.
Ooh, we don't want to know. All right, 877-342-6673 is our call-in number. Any topic you guys want to cover tonight is fine in this final 2 segments of the program tonight. And I apologize for being confused on this second half. It's been that kind of a day to where we had a couple different people plugged in. And then a couple people fell through, so you end up with just me, myself, and Gary and his socks for this last half hour. There is, I want to kind of bring it back to hour number 1 with Dex, and it's a video that I plan on making later tonight after the program. And I know, Gary, that you disagree with me that we're going to see something substantial happen this year. I know your projection is we're going to keep down this route for several more years. Eventually, it's going to get real bad. But brother, I'm telling you something, man. We can't keep the game going the way it is. There's got to be.
Why not?
Well, I'm going to tell you why not. There's got to be a tipping point in our future, and I think more immediate future than further down the road. And it's simple. You can't keep doubling the national debt every 4 years. You can't have 50, 60, 80 million people on food stamps, let alone have over half the people in this country receive some kind of check in one form or another. Now, with that being said, and the obvious indicators before our eyes, which is the Dow Jones and these markets showing all-time highs, we see massive profits for a few on Wall Street, and this is being touted as success in our economy. This indicator can only last as long as the people buy it, as long as the average person on the street who still has a job to go to or still struggling by, making it on less money with more expensive items coming down the road, and then looking at the excess of Wall Street, looking at the excess of expenditure from Washington, $1 trillion+ a year. As long as they believe that things are on the mend, fine. It will all work, and your theory of doubling the debt, quadrupling the debt, destroying the dollar by printing more and more of them, that will hold true. But when you look at real statistics, shadow stats, if you will, you see that cannot continue, having over half the people on the dole, having a government that's telling you point blank austerity is not only coming, it is here. This hands-off approach to austerity is exactly what happened on March 1st. Oh boy, sorry everybody, we have to let this sequester take place because we deemed this to happen if we couldn't come up with a solution. So everybody can stand back, point their finger across the aisle.
0.03% of the federal budget on that sequester.
Well, it's 2%.
Big deal.
Well, it's 2%. It's 2% of the budget, and you're right that in and of itself isn't a big deal, but it shows you that government by crisis has led to more and more debt. The only way that we can keep going is more and more debt, doubling, tripling, quadrupling. And it also shows that there's a willingness to stand back and let the chips fall where they may. Now, a lot of people say this 2% isn't really anything to worry about, but we see a lot of things that are happening right now. Maybe some of it is just propaganda, or maybe it's done for shock factor, such as no more tours.
See, there's something you and Dex talked about earlier. How you can't get by on a minimum wage job. Well, I remember back in the late '60s. I had an apartment. I was buying a motorcycle, and I was paying my way through community college on a part-time job, making minimum wage. I think I was making like $1.60 an hour or something like that. And somehow,
times are different.
I managed to rent an apartment, buy a motorcycle, and pay my way through community college. Now, things have changed, and no doubt about it.
First of all, let's break that down a little bit. Let's break it down. I don't mean to cut you off, but let's break it down a little bit. That cost of your education when you went to school I'm going to call it the 60s, and I'm assuming that's right?
Yeah. Correct? And we do have a couple of callers.
We do? Okay, well, I'll be brief. Well, I'll just stop with the college one. The cost of education now, because of involvement of government, right, with student loans, backing, and the outright destruction of the dollar by the Federal Reserve, the cost of education is completely through the roof.
Oh yeah, I was paying $75 a semester hour, and I thought that was a lot of money.
Okay, well, kids are graduating now. Some of them are carrying $50,000 burdens on their back.
Yeah.
I know the average is less than that; it's about $30,000. But that is all because of government meddling in the affairs of what should be the government should be out of, which is free market capitalism. They've absolutely grabbed hold of it and made it into something completely different. All right, we're going to take who do we got in here?
Okay, well, we got Helicopter calling in from California.
All right, Helicopter.
He's kind of a character in chat. I think this is the first time I ever talked to him live. So
all right, Helicopter. Well, welcome to the program. Where's that message coming? Did Brett send those to you, Gary? Because I don't have them.
I'm getting them.
Okay, all right. Helicopter, welcome to the program.
I'm there, huh?
You're live.
You're here, man.
First time.
The entire world is listening to you.
Yeah, I know. That's the scary part. Well, thanks for doing what you guys do every night, and Charlie being on board with exposing the New World Order, bankster, cartel, and all that is good for the kids and everybody who's coming up. And but I've been doing lately what I've been doing. Just if anybody wants to know the thing that's kind of fun to do, when you see these articles on Drudge Report or wherever it is about the kid getting suspended for chewing on his Pop-Tart and pointing, at his kid or any of these
they shaped it
insanely
into the form of a gun.
Or they drew a gun. They drew a picture of a gun,
Right.
Yeah, or the squirt gun kid, the Hello Kitty girl with the squirt gun. I called, I actually called the attorney that's representing the two people and sent them some stuff. I do energy medicine. I put out there in the chat room a couple times, EFT, emotional freedom techniques. This trauma release, they're substantiating it quite well with scientific studies on PTSD and things like that, but anybody can look that up. But what I did as part of this last one...
Yep. Helicopter, do you have a site
emofree.com is the one I always put on there.
Okay.
You're breaking up a little bit.
I just said you want a site, and you gave it out there, so...
Yeah. It's nice to put it out, other than the chat room. But the last one here, this little kid ADHD with the Pop-Tart thing, the other morning, I call up the school. And I've been calling these sheriff's departments, the ones that say they're doing the Second Amendment, or, if they're against it or for it, you call them up. You go on the internet, you find them right away. Call them up and say, I don't know if you got a public relations person or anybody. And, but, if you're making check marks for and against, put me on the for side, and here's a bunch of reasons and things like that. And I called this one about the Pop-Tart thing and started rattling off some stuff about, the zero tolerance stuff has got to go. You're traumatizing these kids for life with this kind of stuff. And
what was their response?
I'm sorry?
What was their response when you called them and confronted them with this?
Well, she was listening. Because the first thing, I'm friendly. I don't get on there and go, oh, it's I say, we got a lot of calls, and oh yeah, and I say, well, if you got anybody who's, marking on a pencil or taking notes or taking responses to what you got going on here, let's have some sensibility, and you're traumatizing these kids for life. The zero tolerance stuff's got to go. I go, we used to have a place on the playground where we played cowboys and Indians,
Yeah.
And in our neighborhood when and this has all been said by a lot of people already. It's not, I'm not the first person to say it, but, we were playing. That's how our parents knew where we were, because they bang, bang, you're dead. They could hear you 4 houses down, they knew where you were.
Good point. Good point.
And all of this stuff.
Helicopter, hang tight. We gotta take a break. I got the music playing in my ear, so just hang tight. We're going to come back in just a few minutes with your call. And we also have Dan from Illinois. We'll be right back. Make your little wedges, go home, and support the government. Welcome back to Wide Awake News Radio. We're going to go right back to Helicopter, who was making his point. And those of you listen on Justin TV, you heard me and Gary continue this during the break. But Helicopter, you called into the school and said, what on earth are you thinking about this kind of this this blanket policy?
I didn't even get, that kind of questioning. I mean, I just, I wasn't, you don't want to sound the least irrational. And I mean, I'm thankful they call up without a caller ID on, because I'm sure they got calls from people saying, I'll show you guns,
Oh, yeah, right.
And coming down there, and then they got a reason to worry. But, it's as much as you can do that at least you're a voice, and it's not an email. And I don't go, oh, can I have an email? I'll send you blah, 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 statistics and all this junk, because you can't convert people with a notebook full of stuff. You got to kind of do it, chisel it out. And, these people are learning a lesson in what the internet can do. And, I'm retired, so I can sit, at 9 in the morning calling 10 and calling places in the East Coast and whatnot and things like that. And actually, as far as the shooting thing in the EFT, they are doing that over there at Sandy Hook. A guy that's very prominent in the EFT community, as it were, and I won't say his name because there's 2-3 different people that are really they're the people that run the they have a EFT summit they do every year. It's free. There's like 10 sessions you can listen to, whatever, or 10 days of 2 sessions, but it's every year. They call it a EFT summit, and everybody gets involved that's been training in this stuff, because this should have been seen on Oprah 5 years ago, and they won't put it on there because people get off of their drugs and all their other stuff by doing this energy medicine stuff.
Right.
But that aside, I get the people on the phone and say, I said, and I'm saying, if somebody's taking some kind of comment, and she's not hanging up the phone, but I go, you're kind of, the phone's ringing off the hook. She goes, yeah, kind of. And because I can tell, I've done a lot of phone work, and I can tell in about 4 seconds what somebody's mood is, on the phone. And I just, I'm cordial, and because you're not going to get anything done if you're not. But she hung up the phone 2-3 times, or put me on hold 2 or 3 times to take other calls, and but she dropped me, somewhere along the line, and I didn't call back and go, because I made my point. Yeah. But if everybody's doing that, and they go, it's a week later, and we're still getting calls about people going, you ought to rethink the zero tolerance and all this stuff, and it's probably impossible with the mass government control machine that they got going. It's a bulldozer against a snow shovel.
I still think it's important, though, that if you feel convicted, to pick up your phone and call your school and say, "Come on, man, this is a kid." You're right. You're traumatizing these kids. You're traumatizing them. In a lot of cases, they're doing stuff they do every single day, and you're making them afraid of. When you're to the point where you can't wear a Marine shirt to school because it's got a gun on it, or you're afraid of how you chew your food because it might be considered you're making you're inciting the notion that guns are okay because you're chewing your Pop-Tart into the form of a gun. It's beyond ridiculous. It is at the point of indoctrination.
well, yet they're, pumping you full of video games and
That's right.
bang up and all the other stuff. They show you the violence and they tell you not to imitate it. And kids, or if nothing else, are the biggest imitators on the planet. The monkey see, monkey do thing. But that's the whole.
Or how about? Wait a minute.
aspect.
How about what our government's doing? Right? How about killing 16-year-old Denver children in a foreign country with a Hellfire missile because he happened to be related to somebody that maybe was a terrorist? Or how about the people we're killing around the world? We are the purveyors of violence on this planet. I don't want to cut you off, Helicopter, but I got Dan Holden too, and I want to make sure I give him a few minutes as well.
Another time, I'll call in. Good talking.
You're a good man. You're a good man. Thanks for making that call to your school and protesting in your own way. Dan, from Illinois, also known as Freedom for You and Me, great YouTube channel. That is the name of his YouTube channel. I don't know, Dan, if you're still making videos. I see one once in a while up there, but he's been following me on YouTube for quite some time, and it's nice to get you back on the air, Dan.
Charles, it's good to talk to you, sir, and Gary, good to talk to you as well. It's been a while since I talked to you, and just to touch on Helicopter's point, the same people that are designing schools are designing prisons.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
That's food for thought right there.
You make money when they're growing up, and you make money when you incarcerate them.
Exactly. You don't give them Bibles when they're in school, but you'll give it to them when they're in prison. That doesn't make any sense to me.
That's a good point.
Now, I wanted to talk to you about, you and I both been on the economic collapse, trumpeting the economic truth that's out there. And I guess I got a question for you. 95, 98% of the people have no clue and don't care what's going on. They get up, they go to work, they get paid in debt. So basically, they trade their labor for debt, which means they're a slave.
Which I'll be the first to say. And Dan, I know you do as well, because you and I are in for the day jobs. You and I are in the same industry. That we do it too. I do it too. I get up and I go to work, and I will continue to go to work up until I can't, because I need to operate in this fiat currency system just like everybody else listening to me right now. However, I think we both agree it's going to come to an end.
I think it is too, and that goes to my next point, though. This is too much power for any individual or group to give up. So what's to make us think, we keep talking collapse, but aren't we just going to collapse into another fiat system? They're not going to walk away from the power that they wield over the people. It's going to be, okay, the dollar fiat, the way it looks now, is going to collapse, but we're going to replace it into this. I mean, you and I both have seen, people's videos that have been up for years and years that, it's going to be lawlessness for, to the end times. For 10 years, you're going to have to feed yourself. I don't see that happening. I see this collapsing into a quote-unquote safety net that they've designed, no different than the one that we've got now. And people are going to go to work and say, hey, I've got to pay my bills, even though, both you and I know the system's set up to where you're paying for a house even when it's paid off that you never own, because if you look at the deed on your property, it says tenants by the entirety, tenants in common. You're a tenant of your own home even after the banks have been fraudulently paid off. And the same thing with your car. I mean, you don't get a title to your car once it's paid off. You get a certificate of a title.
That's right. And stop paying your tax on either one of them, and guess what? You don't own it anymore.
Exactly. We no longer have a allodial title to our properties and quiet title and that sort of thing. But, to me, I just want to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think that...
I don't see them putting the system off for us to walk around not under their thumb or not under their control in some way, shape, or form, and 95% of plus other people are going to fall in fetch and step with what they offer because they have to eat.
That's right. And I think your question goes, I think it goes to show that you have been following this subject, this topic, and been noodling, if you will, thinking about what's coming next. Because I think there's folks that listen to this program, folks like you, folks like the guys in chat and people listening on Rinse and later on that have been following this long enough to realize that, the system as we know it is going to come to an end. That's a shock to a lot of people who are just waking up today. But the people who have been awake for quite some time, they think about these things and what's coming next. The next thing that you see once you realize that the system's coming to an end is that the pieces are being put into place, and they're not even trying to hide it, right? They talk about global financial governance. They talk about a need for a currency other than the U.S. dollar, SDRs, whatever you want to call it. So the question that inevitably comes to mind is, what are they going to introduce? Because you're 100% correct when you say they're not going to give up this power. And so I do think about that quite a bit. And I agree with you. I think for the most part that you're not going to see, I don't think we'll see a decade of Mad Max. That is, no. If their plan goes...
They won't allow it.
Well, I was going to say, if their plan goes the way that the powers that be, and when I'm talking about the powers that be, I don't like to be leaving that as a vague term. I'm talking about the financial special interests that are orchestrating everything. If they get their agenda played out to fruition, we won't have a mega collapse. I do believe we're going to have some scary as hell times ahead of us, and then they're offering us the carrot, the solution, which will be financial global governance. This is what they've talked about for quite some time, and it isn't just people on the internet talking about it. It is these financial superstars who are saying the need for it. This is why we see...
Well, in the long run, it'll be the implementation of Agenda 21. I mean, they're going to herd us into urban environments where we will be taken care of. Those who choose not to be herded into the urban environments will probably face some sort of a Mad Max scenario, some sort of a lawless Old West type scenario. That's a very real possibility. Because let's face it, I don't care how strong they are. They're not strong enough to guard everything. So they'll pull everybody together into urban centers.
No, they don't have to guard everything.
They will provide. They will provide protection in exchange for your labors, and you'll get dollars that are printed up on toilet paper. And as long as people as long as people consider it money, it'll be money. People will sell their labors for it.
Most of us think this week, next month. These guys are thinking generations.
Right.
I'm one of those generations type.
Be there,
I'm one of those generations type. Yeah.
Will happen.
See, I see us on an out of control train that's just screaming down the railroad tracks, and every time it takes a wild corner, a whole bunch of folks fall off the train, and for them the system has collapsed. It collapsed right then and there as soon as they fell off the train. Now, of course, there's still a lot of people hanging onto that train by their teeth, and they know what's going on. They know that train is eventually going to hit the wall. But what? They got a mortgage. They got kids in college. They're vested in the system. They think they got a piece of the action. And, they, regardless of how bad things are, they're going to try to hang on as long as they possibly can until finally they either fall off the train or we hit that wall.
Yeah, and to Dan's point, when the realization that this system is done, right, the train has left the rails, let's say, how many people will be lined up to be whatever the powers that be tell them they need to be in order to keep getting a paycheck or food or shelter or that kind of thing. And I think that was more the point, wasn't it, Dan?
Yeah. Because 95%.
Hey Dan, tell us where we can see your YouTube channel as I hear the music playing in the background.
It's freedom for you and me. I'll be back up making videos again here next week.
That is awesome. Dan, freedom from you and me. Thank you for the call. Thank you, Helicopter, for the call. Thank you, Gary, for hanging out with me for this last half hour, and, of course, for producing the video portion of tonight's program and posting up on YouTube later. Thank you, Chris, from seedsnow.com. Go there, use Wide Awake News, all one word, no spacing. Buy $100 worth of stuff, get a free $40 kit. The first 5 customers will get that. And, of course, thanks, Dex, for joining us for hour number 1. All right, stay tuned for Jefferson because he is coming up next. We'll see you tomorrow night at the same time. Have a good night. Peace.